And here we go. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 8 of the Huddle. This is our 34th episode overall since last year. Appreciate you for joining us. I'm your host, Ed Tate from BlueBombers.com. We're coming to you live from our studio here at Princess Auto Stadium, live on the Blue Bombers YouTube page and on X. Appreciate you joining us. We're pleased to be joined this week by one of the heroes from last Saturday's win over the BC Lions in Vancouver, safety Jamal Parker. Appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
Right on. So look, we'll get to the normal format of the show here, but there's a couple things I wanted to rattle off here. Mammoth game from this guy. 6 tackles, pass knockdown near the goal line, diving interception, 57-yard fumble recovery for a touchdown. And this is my rant for the week. The CFL honor roll came out today, and there's nobody from the Bombers defense on it. And the guy that was named the defensive player of the week had 1 tackle, and apparently it was really good against the run. I don't get it sometimes, but Evan Holm had a massive game. Michael Griffin had a massive game. Lots of guys had a massive games, and whatever. I had to get that off my chest. Anyway, okay. This week's show, we'll look at Jamal's road traveled, his recovery from last year's knee surgery that cost him all of the season, and we'll get to the fan questions as we normally do. But before we get going, as we always do, we start with the Coors Light Chill Chat. And this is the read I got to do. Welcome to the Coors Light Chill Chat, a chance to kick back and get to know the Blue Bombers players a little better. Proudly brought to you by Coors Light, the official beer and chill choice of the Blue Bombers.
There's regular cold, and then there's the mountains are blue cold. Mountain cold refreshment. Coors Light, the chill choice.
Okay. We always start off with some quick hitters here, Jamal, to kind of get things loosened up a little bit here. This is our poll question for this year. Right now I'm thinking it's kind of lame because of the answers we've got so far, but I have to ask you, and if someone has a better poll question, we're all ears. But here it goes. What is your favorite cereal? This is the deep stuff that we begin with here.
My favorite cereal is probably Frosted Flakes.
See, the first two, Sheehan was on, and it was Special K and Weetabix, and then James Vaughters was on last week, and it was some sort of seed thing concoction that he made on his own. So I appreciate the sugar thing.
I think you asked the normal person. You asked the Aussie, and then James Vaughters he wears like barefoot shoes. He's a little different too.
Yeah.
In a good way. Not disrespecting him or nothing, but he does a lot of unorthodox things, I'll say.
Okay, so I like the Frosted Flakes. I'm a Captain Crunch guy, so we're on the same page here. I appreciate that. Okay, let's get to some other ones here. Do you have a favorite pregame meal that you always go to?
No, I don't really have a favorite pregame meal. I don't really eat a pregame meal. I eat breakfast. I eat a good breakfast, probably like Stella's or Pancake House if we're home. And then before the game, I'll eat a banana.
That's it?
Yeah.
And that's enough to keep you going?
Yeah, I'll be good, yeah.
Okay, do you have a cheat meal? Like maybe after the game then?
Oh, a whole bunch of French fries.
Oh, yeah.
French fries and wings. And
I love
good
it.
to go.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, if you could be a pro athlete in another sport, what would you pick for the sport, first of all, or who's the athlete?
If I got to pick another sport,
Yeah.
I might have to. For me, I would say basketball, just because they make all that money, and then their off time is the summer.
That's true.
But ideally, if I was being smart, it'd be baseball, because that's like you get a 13-year deal with $300 million, and it's all guaranteed, and there's less injury, and you just out there playing ball. I'm not saying the sport not hard, but
yeah,
I personally would be basketball. But if it was a business decision, I'm going baseball.
I like that. I like how you
baseball.
put some thought into that.
Yeah.
What position would you play if you're playing baseball?
Baseball, I always wanted to play the field, like center field. I just wanted to jump over the gate and rob a home run. That's all I ever wanted to do.
You got leadoff hitter written all over you too, maybe.
Most likely, yeah.
I like it. Okay, do you have a pet peeve? Something that regularly happens that gets you pissed off?
Oh, when I used to live with Reddick Cramdy, he will, I guess, me, Reddick Cramdy, and Evan Holmes lived together in 23. It was 2 things he did. 3 things he did. He always changed the AC. He likes it super cold. Me and homie liked it about 68 Fahrenheit. He would change it to like 64, 65. Second thing, he had his own bathroom. He will shut the door in our bathrooms. So, like, I guess, I don't know if it's a American-Canadian thing. Like, if the door is open, no one's in there.
It's free.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if the door is closed, we think someone's in there.
Right.
So half the time, me and homie used to think one of the other was in the bathroom, but no one was in the bathroom. But that's only because Retta, who has nothing to do with our bathroom, will close our bathroom door. And then the third thing, this is probably my biggest pet peeve.
Okay.
Because my pop does it. It's like when you're chewing, you're like smacking. Like,
Yeah.
for some reason, I can't. The sound just irritates me. And I'd be like, Red. He'd be like, my bad. He don't even mean to do it. I guess it's second nature because my pops does it. And it just like irritates me. And me and my pop used to get into it about that.
Yeah.
Why do you care how I eat? Stop smacking.
So, okay, I'm with you on a couple of that because the smacking thing's such a turnoff that sometimes I put my fork and knife down and it's like I can't eat right now until you're done.
Yeah, I can't. It's just I just can't stand it.
And then the other one with the bathroom door thing, someone here always does that down the hall. They leave the door closed when they're done, and you don't know. You got to go tapping all the time to see if someone's in there. Come on. All right, I like these. Do you have any kind of hidden talents?
Hidden talent?
Yeah, is there something that you're good at that maybe we don't know? Like sing? Can you juggle? Are you a surfer? You know, anything like that? Magician.
Nah, I guess I don't know if it's a hidden talent. I'm good at giving movies to like people be like they give movies and be like, is it good or bad?
You're a reviewer, you mean?
Yeah, I'm really good at I'm like, nah, this is like a legit movie you want to watch. My friend back home, I just told him to watch The Prestige. I think it was a Christopher Nolan movie and Prisoner with Hugh Jackman. Yeah. I'm like, these are 2 10 out of 10s. He's like, which one's better? I'm like, it's a toss up. So,
wow, that's a good tip. So then, there's a future for you there because you could be a movie reviewer, right?
Yeah, I just never knew how it worked.
Yeah.
It started one time. I used to like watch TV and like commercials. You'll see a trailer for a movie. So I used to write it in my notes like, one day I'm gonna make sure I go to movies and watch that. And then after a while, I just started writing a whole bunch of movies. And like in my notes, I probably got like over 100 movies.
Yeah. So are you a regular movie goer? Do you go, is there something out that you've just seen recently?
The movie I just seen that was out was the Sinners.
I saw that
the Michael
too.
B. Jordan movie.
Yeah. And what'd you think?
Recent. I liked it a lot, but that's one of those movies where I think in a good way, you either like it or you don't. I got a good amount of people that loved it, and then there's a good amount that didn't. Yep. But to me, if I directed that movie, that's a win-win for me. Yeah. Because either they're gonna like it, or people are gonna watch it just to decide what they like. But it's always gonna be talked about.
Yeah. I thought he was really good in Michael B. Jordan because he played 2 characters.
I think he personally should win an award for that.
Yeah.
Because in a way, I forgot he played 2 characters because like they were so different in personality. And like I know like probably like directing and like acting that is probably like 2 different switches, 2 different styles of people. So I thought he did a heck of a job.
Yeah, and it's tough because it's hard to put a different twist on a vampire movie, but it worked for me, right?
I think so. When people ask me about that movie or like how to describe it, it kind of is in its own lane because it's not like a scary movie where you're going to attack the demon and then you either win or lose. Yeah. This movie was like. And where the demon came, he just dropped out the sky. Yeah. With no background knowledge and no rhyme or reason why. You kind of had to like go through the lens of the villain first, and then you still didn't know what that had to do with the jukebox house. Yeah. And then like it was kind of like in its own lane for me.
So if you haven't seen it, we've just given it. I've given it like a 8.5.
Yeah.
8
out of
9.
10. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. We're on the same page there. So since we're talking about movies, do you have a favorite actor or a favorite all-time movie?
I give you a top 3.
Let's go.
This is number 1 for me, hands down. Inception.
Oh yeah,
Leonardo DiCaprio. Yep. He's probably my favorite actor, and Christopher Nolan probably my favorite director. I probably watched all his movies. Interstellar. Yeah, it's another one with Matthew McConaughey, and I like Malcolm X, the Spike Lee movie.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was that Denzel? No?
Yep, Denzel,
Yeah, Denzel.
yep,
Yeah.
yep.
That's been a while. That one came out.
Yeah.
Well, those are three
Yeah.
awesome picks. Okay. Let's get to the next section, the road traveled part here. I've got to ask you, I was looking it up today because it says you're from Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Is that right? Or
My high school was in Cherry Hill, New Jersey.
so what's your hometown? Where do you say you're from?
Pensauken, New Jersey.
Pensauken. Yeah, okay. I had that written down too. So is that considered a suburb of Philly? Or how would you describe it?
I always get this because half the team be thinking I'm from Philly,
Yeah.
but I live in Jersey, but I'm a Philly fan for all sports. So like, I guess when I started learning over the years, like the East Coast is like real condensed. So like where I live in Jersey, I live probably no more than 15 minutes from Philly, and then I'm like an hour 15 from New York. So it's like we're on a borderline. So like to me, Jersey's kind of divided between North and South. Like a lot of North Jersey's Giants, Knicks fans. South Jersey's like Sixers, Eagles, Phillies.
So those are your teams?
Yeah, I'm a Philly fan.
Yeah. Well, so on the map, there's the Delaware River. So Philly's the other side then. Is that how you...
Literally, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Tell me a little bit about growing up in Pensauken. Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just give me a sense of your life as a kid growing up there. What was it like?
So where I lived was like right outside of like Camden, New Jersey, which is a more of a tougher neighborhood. So like I had a mixture of friends from like my suburbs and the more like tougher area. For me, sports was always good. Philly had a lot of good athletes growing up, especially like when I ran track. They was always good in track. They got a good couple football teams, and the basketball in the city of Philly is really good too.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say overall, like I had a smooth sailing like growing up. To be honest,
what did your folks do, or what did they do when you were growing up?
My mom's in education, so my mom's a principal, so I always had to have like good grades.
Right.
Like no matter what, like if I had like a writing paper, and I had like turn it in, she wants to read over it and edit it and do all that good stuff. And my dad was he used to work at St. Joe's as a bookstore manager. Now he works for another bookstore, but that's what he did.
Yeah, St. Joseph University.
Yeah.
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 And then were you playing, like you mentioned you ran track. What did you play growing up? Everything?
I did football, basketball, and track. I never played baseball in my life.
Oh yeah?
Never did soccer neither.
So when did you start to think that football might take you somewhere?
Take me somewhere? So I knew I wanted to play football at a young age. It was either I was like 4 or 5. It was the Patriots Raiders in the snow game.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's when I was like, I don't know, because I used to love the snow. And I was like, I want to play football. So that game for some reason I just vividly remember that I was like, I want to play football because when I was growing up, Patriots was always on TV, and I used to like Ty Law a lot.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, yeah. Well, Raiders fans still hate that game, right? That's the tuck rule game, right? Yeah. Okay, and then Kent State, right? How many schools were after you when you were done high school, and how did you pick Kent State?
I had a couple like FBS. It was like Temple, Buffalo, Kent State, UMass, and I had a couple AA schools, but my coach Hank Poteet, he knew my DB coach that I trained with, and I sent him my film, and he was one of the first ones to really like reach out to me, and was like, I like your ball skills, I like what you could do, and what's crazy, so he offered me, I got the offer, and then I went up for a visit, like an unofficial visit, and me and him played basketball. So we just played 1-on-1.
That's a different visit.
Yeah. So it was like your regular visit, tour the school, coaches, and then we was in the gym. He's like, "Yo, you want to play basketball?" And like that's what I played. So we played basketball. He beat me best of 3. Last game 4-5. But I only can say he beat me now is because he was so much stronger than me, and he could still move well. But I was probably like a $160, and he's probably like 190, 200. So that's probably what it was. Cause later that year, after I committed and played the season, he was like, I knew you were gonna be good because of your feet, because you were so good at sliding and your coordination with the ball. So I was like, I never looked at it that way. I just looked at it like,
Well, so then in his mind, that was part of the trip, right?
Part of the test. It was
Yeah.
part of the test for him.
Yeah. But it's funny that you can still remember losing 5-4 in game 3.
Yeah, I can tell you exactly which court too. Yeah.
What kind of shot did he hit? Do you remember that? That's amazing. You remember?
It was
that.
like one of those where like he picked up his dribble and he had to just like toss up a prayer. So I had to kind of just eat that one like he just won.
That's wild that you remember that. That says
Yeah.
lots of guys can remember that stuff. It blows me away. Okay, so I went back this morning and was watching some of your Kent State Golden Flashes. What a nickname too. That's a cool nickname. Watching your highlight tape. And honestly, I say this as a comment. I couldn't tell what position you played because you were all over the place, right?
Yeah.
How would you describe what you did at Kent State?
I kind of describe it how I am here with like I kind of played all over. So my freshman year, I actually probably by game 4, I started at corner as a freshman. Mind you, I really ain't really know what I was doing. I just knew man in cover 3. Then sophomore year, I got moved to the slot, and that's probably ideally my favorite position. And then my junior year, we got a new staff, and I guess they wasn't sure what they wanted to do in general. So I got moved to safety that year, and then my senior year, I moved back to corner. So
Wow.
yeah.
Well, that's probably why you're so comfortable playing wherever you are here too, right?
Yeah, I just always looked at being versatile. Like one of my favorite players was like Tyron Matthew growing up. So like he plays everything. He can play corner, he play outside backer, nickel, safety. So I like being that like Swiss Army knife.
Yeah. And then like you were named captain as a junior too, right? You were one of the
Yeah.
So there's the leadership ability must have been spotted by was it the same coach that made you captain that had you on the trip?
No, different coach.
Okay.
But that coach, I guess they like, cause I'm not really like a real loud rah-rah guy. I'll get people going, but I'm more like lead by example, and I'm like the type I could talk to everybody in the locker room. Like I could be with the O-line, D-line.
Yeah.
So I guess that helped me too, cause I'm kind of friends with everybody.
Right. Okay, cool. So then after you're done at Kent State, what happens next? How did you get here?
So I was done 2019, 2020. I think the world shut down like March 7th or 8th.
Right.
And my pro day was like the 12th or 13th.
No way.
Yeah, so the world got shut down. So I didn't have a pro day. So I didn't really have nothing. But was crazy that year, Ted hit up my agent, was
Ted
like,
Gavaya, yep.
if nothing works with NFL, we would love to bring him up to Winnipeg. But the world shut down. I don't think CFL had a season in 2020. So then we fast forward to 2021, and I think my agent reached out, but Ted said they already had their people from the previous year or whatever, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ted wasn't sure if there was going to have a season because the season started late.
It started in August, that's right. Yep.
Correct. So that happened. So I'm pushing like a year and a half now, not playing ball. But like I always kept going just because like I never got my shot. So like it always drove me like to keep going just because like if I had the shot and then the cars just didn't fall, I could live with that. But I never got that opportunity. So I kept going. I was in shape. And then 22, may have been like late February, early March, Ted reached out to my agent and he basically was like, does Parker still want to play football? And was he in shape? So I was like, yeah, of course. And then I actually had to go to a camp.
Like a free agent camp?
Yeah, so because they wanted to see me like in person and see me run. So all I had to really do was run a 40. I did that. I killed that. And then I didn't get signed on the spot. So if the camp was on the Thursday or Friday, he told me they were going to give me a call like that Monday or Tuesday. And then they called me and was like, you did everything right, but they picked somebody else over me at the time. So I was like, okay, cool. They was like, just make sure you stay in shape, all that good stuff. And then it was like probably maybe 3 days later, it was either game 3 or 4. It was like Warriors versus the Grizzlies in the playoffs. I'm sitting there when my friends is watching the game. I get a Winnipeg area code calling me, but I don't answer like if I don't know the number. So I didn't answer. Call me again. I didn't answer. I'm locked in on the game. Then my agent called me and was like, "Yo, Winnipeg wants to bring you up." And then that's how I came on.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So what were you doing while you were waiting? Because that's a long time. Like,
So-
were you working?
Yeah, I did this thing called Amazon Flex. So it's kind of popular now, but like when I did it, it wasn't really known yet. That and at the time, DoorDash was real big. Like where I
Sure,
was at
everybody's in the
inside, so
yeah.
like you could make some good money. So I was doing that and working out. So that's all I did.
Well, it
for the
just
time
shows
being.
you though you were waiting, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Because you knew that. Well, you hoped that
yeah,
the phone would ring. Well, good for you for being like kind of sticking it out, right?
yeah.
That's got to. So when the call comes and you get up here, that's the foot in the door, right? That's all you need.
That's all I needed. I was like, this is my opportunity.
Yeah. And what do you remember about your? I think your first game here was against Calgary, right in July of.
Yep.
Yeah. What do you remember about that whole experience?
Excuse me. That game I was up. I was just playing special, so I was like, I'm gonna do my best on special teams and make an impact on specials. And I ended up getting a tackle that game on special teams that day on
Yeah.
punt.
And when you were playing specials in college, it would have been as a returner, right?
Correct.
So you weren't on many kick cover units then, would you?
No, I was always so at Kent State we prided on punt. So like
Okay.
he kind of played like his guys on punt. So I was always on punt, kickoff, and then kick return. I
Yeah.
was always a returner.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm that type. Whatever my job is, I'm gonna do to my best of my ability.
Right. And then first start that year was Labor Day Classic, if I recall.
Yeah, Versace. Yeah.
And what do you remember about that one?
I kind of remember like being real jittery and like just excited, and I'm like, I don't want to be the reason like the defense doesn't do well or like we don't win the game. So I just was trying to do my best to like do my part.
Yeah. So those moments, like the first game and then the first start, that's got to be the part of the payoff, right? For like when you're working at DoorDash or and
Yeah.
you're keeping the dream alive. Those are the moments that you are the payoff, right?
Yeah.
Tell me, you mean that's the part that makes you proud of yourself, right?
Yeah, I guess sometimes I don't really like enjoy it because I'm always like keep going. Like to me, I'm always like, okay, you did this, you did X, Y, and Z. Okay, that's over with. It's a new day, new 24 hours, new whatever. So I always kind of like, boom, I achieved it. Put in the memory bank, put in the backpack, keep it pushing to the next step.
Yeah, I guess the minute you get put your feet
Complacent,
up,
yeah.
you're
Yeah.
in trouble, right? In this
Yeah.
business. Okay. Let's take a break here because we've got to we'll plug in for Duron equipment. They're our second big sponsor after Coors Light. We don't have the commercial yet, right, Sam?
No, we don't.
Yeah.
But we do have a great graphic.
Okay. The graphic is up.
It is up. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And we're going to take, just a reminder, we'll take some questions from fans at the end. But thanks again for Duron Equipment for being one of our major sponsors. The reason we don't have a commercial is that the old one featured Drew Wolodarski, who's now in Hamilton. So they're in the process of reshooting that, and we'll make sure we get that done pretty soon. Okay, so let's get to the next part here, Jamal, about, the jersey giveaway. Let's do a plug for the jersey giveaway.
Yes, we are going to do a Jamal Parker jersey giveaway. So I put the link in both the X and Facebook or YouTube chat. So you just fill that out, and we'll contact you within a week. If you have won, you do have to be able to pick it up at the Bomber store, but go ahead and enter, and hopefully you win.
Yeah, Jamal Parker jersey in the building pretty soon. Okay, this is the part that I was kind of interested in because you and I talked about this, Jamal, when you re-signed in January.
Yeah, it was like
January.
January.
Last year was tough, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe just take us back because I remember when you re-signed, much like that pickup basketball game, you can remember every detail about how you hurt your knee. Maybe I know maybe it's you want to have that memory fade too, but tell us about what happened because it happened in training camp last year. ACL's gone. What happened on the play?
Yeah, that was May 14th. Last period of the day. It was like play 3. Kenny Lawler ran like a skinny post. It was just like routine. I was running with him. And, I don't want to like fall on him. So when I jumped over him and I didn't want to land. So I kind of like, in my head, I thought I had more time before I landed. But when I landed, my leg was like hyperextended straight. And then like, boom, I hit the ground. And honestly, I didn't know I tore my ACL. Because like when I got up, it just felt like I hyperextended it. and then I was able to walk off the field. I didn't really have no swelling or nothing. I was able to walk up steps. I could still run, but the only thing was it was like cutting. But I didn't know. And then when I got to the trainer room, Al did the ACL test. Now I know the ACL test now. Had no clue what he was doing with my leg, but he didn't tell me neither. And then when I got the MRI, and that's when I found out. Yeah, I tore my ACL.
And that's basically your year's done. You know, in that moment, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of a dumb question, but how emotional is that?
It was probably pretty tough for me because the year before was kind of tough for me because I was a starter and then I got hurt, so I was outside the lineup, and then I made my way back into the lineup, started the Grey Cup, so I'm coming into the following year like,
this is my year.
This is my year. I'm gonna take the next step, and then, boom, it was just taken away. So like, Nick Hallett, Noah Hallett helped me a lot when I like first got injured, and Noah Hallett, cause he been through it a lot with it. He sent me like a Julian Edelman documentary when he tore his, so I watched that, and I kind of like went through the Lord, and like I always like I'm a firm believer everything happens for a reason. So like I stuck with that. Like I know it wasn't what I wanted or how it happened, but like I'm like everything happens for a reason. There's a reason why behind it.
Yeah. What was the sort of the message behind the Edelman documentary that worked for you or resonated with you?
For me, it's brighter days is coming. Like this is not the end. Like
because he went through it too, right?
He went through it too. It may rain now, it may rain for the next 10 days, but there's gonna be a day where them clouds clear up and that sun's gonna shine bright.
Yeah, wow, that's a powerful thing. And so a lot of you guys last year went through this together because Dalton's talked about it, Cam Lawson's talked about it, Chris Struver's talked about it. Am I missing anybody?
Biggie
went through it.
Jake Kelly.
Yep.
And Noah Hallett again.
Wow. And so, but you guys leaned on each other quite a bit, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. You never want to see somebody else hurt or injured. But at the same time, it felt good, like having, like, at the time or the timeline, two other people, like, we all in the same rabbit hole together. Like, I got hurt. Cam probably got hurt, I think, 8-9 days after me. Dalton was less than a month. So, like, for a while, it was just us three. Just all the time, just asking about the nuances. Like, does this hurt? Does that hurt? Can you do this yet? Can you not do this yet? And then, like, for me, I was always good, cool with Dalton. But, like, me and Dalton that year, like, really got close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's because a lot of guys will go home when they have a major injury like that because you'd rather be around your family or wherever, or a trainer, a personal trainer that you trust. But it seemed like you guys really benefited in a crappy situation from being around each other. There's someone to lean on.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely did benefit because, like, I just feel like going home. I mean, everything got its pros and cons to it, but you kind of away from the game, you away from your team. I remember when I first got hurt, I didn't want to really be around any football. I didn't want to be seen for about a good 6-7 days, but Coach Osh told me, take as long as I needed, because I told him I just didn't want to be around nothing at the moment, just because of the emotions I was going through. But then I got over that, and then, like, for me, I benefited from, like, we'll do rehab, and then we'll go to practice, and then, like, me and Dalton will sit there and, like, go through the script and be like, all right, this is called, what do you think is going to happen here? He'll tell me what the offense is reading. I'm going to tell him what the defense is reading. Or when we used to do Skelly, I always stood with Coach Ritchie, and I would just, like, read the shell of the defense and read how concepts work together on our offense. So, like, a lot of it was beneficial for us.
Yeah, because I guess because you can't get out there and participate physically, maybe it forces you to hone in more on the X's and O's part, right?
Yeah, just how, like, for me, it helped me with, like, why certain routes go with each other, or why the QB reads from this side, that side, or the zone side, man side. So a lot of that helped me too, yeah.
We heard that, I was trying to remember this, but at the Grey Cup last year, you guys had your own room. The guys that were recovering, and someone said that was it the land of misfit toys?
Yeah.
Maybe tell us about that story. So all you guys together, because it's a smaller room, right?
Yeah, so, like, you got your locker room, but everybody couldn't fit. And then, like, you walk in and Fadi's like, you guys go this way. So we're in the other locker room, which surely enough we should be. And then we're in that locker room. I'm just looking. It's me, Cam Lawson, Dalton Shawn, Biggie, Strev, Wally. We like, damn, like this is our locker room. This is our game day locker room. So it was kind of just like a joke for us
Yeah.
at the time.
Well, it's good you had a sense of humor about it because that had to be tough, right? Because that's the championship week and you guys can't suit up.
Yeah, it's tough, but at the same time, like we're not playing. So like our role for the week is to support everybody else, pick up on any tendencies we could see on film, and just be there to support because that's the most we could do. Because we're not playing in the game, which I understood. But like us being in that other locker room, we took pride in that.
Okay,
And
cool.
we definitely took pride in that.
So in the winter, you're a guy coming off an ACL injury and your contract's up. I mean, that's not exactly bargaining power, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So when these guys said we want you back, that had to feel pretty good, just as an opening, right?
Yeah. It definitely felt good that you like they still wanted you and you felt wanted. So like you knew you had purpose and like value. So that went a long way for me.
You know, you talked earlier about shelving what's in the sort of the past. You know, a game that's happened, it's in that rear view mirror.
Yeah.
But when you have a game like last Saturday, it's got to make you feel like all this has been worth it in a way.
Yeah, I still have a hard time like enjoying it just because I'm not the type to talk about what I did or what I did in the game or accolades. I always think I personally think about the plays I didn't make. Or like the goal line pass breakup, I could have turned that to an interception. Or when I went to go help Terrell Bonds on the pass, and we both didn't make the play. So that's the ones I like really think of after the games.
Oh man, you got to give yourself some credit.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. I do.
I talked about this a little bit earlier. How good can this defense be? Because it's already ranked statistically number one, just like last year. But everybody seems to be saying, "Hey, we got still so much to grow here."
Yeah, we have a lot to grow, but the pieces we have, I always say like the defense is like a puzzle.
Yep.
And you got the different pieces, and the way you shape and form the pieces create a different picture. So it's the same puzzle pieces, but each piece is so versatile and can form to any other piece that's going to create a different picture. This might be picture A with the same pieces, flip these pieces around. This is picture B, but it's the same exact pieces, just in different spots. So I feel like us as a defense is just more keep growing with learning what the offense is trying to do to attack us and having that killer instinct.
When you got approached, when did you get approached about playing safety?
Sometime end of February, early March.
And so is it much different for you, that spot?
At first it was, I'm not gonna lie, during camp, because like there's a lot more communicating and your alignment really matters and where you are because you're getting identified by the quarterback and making sure like you're like the point guard back there, what JY would say. So like I got to make sure people are in the right places and the call is correct or our checks is correct. So like that at first was an adjustment for me because I never really had to talk that much. I told BA, I'm like, BA, I feel like I sound like you right now, like back there making the calls. Because when I was the like young guy and I was like at half or corner, I relied so much on BA with calls or like if motions happened, I wasn't on point, I could just look at BA.
Okay.
BA spit the answer out for us and he made us feel safe. So I try to strive to be the communicator he was.
That's a funny thing because guys talk about how sometimes it takes a while to find your voice. You know, like you got to, it's one thing to know your spot, but in that role, you've got to be able to say to someone, hey, get over here or whatever, right? And is that part of the adjustment you've had to make?
Yeah, that was a big adjustment for me, just controlling traffic basically. So like that camp took me about a good week and a half to really like settle in and get into the flow of things. And then after a while, it just started clicking. And then the game really slowed down. I'm able to really read different pieces of the field, and it just came a lot better for me.
I would think for a guy like you, Jamal, that because you played corner, you played on the inside, that could potentially be a lot of fun, that spot, right?
Yeah.
Because you're going to be in the action all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that what you see too?
Yeah, I prefer to be in the action. I always like halfback over corner personally, just because it's like more involved. You may be in the run, you may not be, but it's just you're just more in the mix. So now safety, I feel like I got a part of each piece sometimes. Because sometimes I can play like a halfback. Sometimes I play like a safety. Sometimes I may need to be needed for the run. So, like,
right.
It brings it all together.
when Jordan Younger taps you on the shoulder and says, we want you to be the safety, because it's a complicated defense and he likes all kinds of different looks, that's a compliment, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it definitely is a compliment. And it wasn't, like I said in camp, it wasn't second nature for me at first. But what I understood and what he liked is I played all the spots. So I knew the blind spots of certain areas of the coverages for maybe a half or a corner. And I knew the exact read, like I knew the view they've seen. So like I knew what the strong halves seen. I knew what the weak halves looking at. I see what the corner seen when it's a 23 tight set and you got the waggle. So like I know the feeling of all the spots. So like it's just all coming into one now. Yeah.
Yeah, right on. You look like you're having a lot of fun back there.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Sam, do we want to open up and take some questions from the fans?
Yeah, sure. There's lots of good questions.
Great.
I am filling in for Josh today, just so you know. Slightly better looking. But,
Oh, you've got to get a shot in there on Josh.
yeah, I had to get that shot in there.
Okay.
Maybe. But yeah, lots of good questions. One, you kind of touched on this earlier, just with playing safety this year. But what's it like playing in Brandon Alexander's position this year? Kind of your mentor.
Yeah, I say like BA was like when I came in, he was like our like big brother, our mentor. I remember when I first started on practice squad, me and Patrice Renee, if it was a away game, because he was coming back from his ACL and he was here, he kind of bullied us into watching the game with him. Like he didn't ask us. He'll just be like, he'll come to our lockers like, yo, I'm picking you guys up at X, Y, and Z time, watching the game here. And that was it. It wasn't no like asking us. So me and Patrice used to be like, we gotta go watch the game with BA. But in the long run, it was great for us.
Yeah, I imagine it's almost like you have to go to class then, right? Because
Yeah,
he'll
a
be
little
taking
bit.
notes. Yeah, okay.
A little bit.
That's a good question.
This one's from Travis. What's your favorite memory from playing at Kent State?
My favorite memory from Kent State is probably when I won the first bowl game in our school history.
Oh, yeah? Which bowl game?
The Frisco Bowl versus Jordan Love. Dustin Crum was our
Really?
quarterback. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we won in the shootout, 51-41.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Jordan Love was
Utah State's quarterback.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Did you know anything about the CFL or any players prior to arriving in Canada?
So I actually did. So growing up, I was an Eagles fan. So they used to go through phases where like the starter would get hurt, the backup QB for the Eagles for some reason will go on like a little magical run. And at the time, it was Jeff Garcia.
Oh, yeah.
So he was the quarterback for the Eagles, and it was like it was a national televised, I don't know if it was Sunday night or Monday night versus the Saints, and then they would flash back to his Calgary highlights.
Yeah.
So
he was amazing.
Yeah, I always knew who Calgary was.
Yeah, right on. Right on.
Favorite city on the road, CFL city?
Montreal, hands down.
Yeah. Why?
Cause I traveled to Europe a couple times, and I like the Europe vibe. So Montreal like reminded me of Europe a little bit.
Big time.
Yeah.
Yeah, big time. Okay.
We actually had a few people asking about Netflix recommendations. That's
there we
your
go.
top 3 movie things. So if you have any.
I honestly don't have a Netflix account right now. I used to use my friends. Then Netflix is cracking down on it. But I could give 3 movies.
I love this part. See, we got to get your weekly picks or something like that for the content team. We'll post it, right, Sam? Let's go.
Absolutely.
Okay, give us okay, Sam and I are on the same page on this.
Okay.
Best TV show ever, we say Band of Brothers, World War II,
Absolutely.
Stevens, right? So
Okay.
give us something like that. What's
Want to give you the best show I ever
the best
watched?
show you have ever seen? We did movies earlier.
For me, it would be between. I had to go Game of Thrones or The Wire.
We had Dalton Schoen was on yesterday. I'm just watching The Wire for the first time. I watched the 9th episode of season 1 last night.
The Wire.
That is amazing.
The Wire. But I wouldn't be mad if someone said Breaking Bad
Yep.
or The Sopranos neither.
Yep.
I kind of feel like it's like a pick your poison, but for me, The Wire is like really relatable, especially like where I'm from and like how like each season has a theme. So like the first season of The Wire is like basically like the hood,
Yep.
how the drug game works. Season 2 is the port, how it gets imported.
Okay.
Season 3 was, I'm trying to remember. Season 3, I think, was the government. like City Hall, how
Yeah.
how things operate.
I don't even know. Yeah. Okay.
Season 4 is the school system,
Okay.
and then season 5 is the media.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm watching The Wire,
Yeah.
and right away I see Michael B. Jordan's like 12 years old or something in
Yep.
that. And I thought, is that?
Yep.
Yeah, that's him.
Idris Elba's in it.
Wow.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you could see from watching that he's going to be a star. Okay, those are good. Game
Yeah.
of Thrones, I'm on page with, and The Sopranos too. Breaking Bad, they're all good. Yeah.
Yeah, still lots of good questions.
Okay.
One, you might not want to give away your secrets. But how do you read a QB? His eyes, his body position.
For that question, I would say he answered the question. I say that.
Yeah. There you go.
A few people asking about the plane charter on Friday. What do you think of it?
Yeah, that was a great plan.
It was a great
It
plan.
was a great plan. That was. It felt too good to be true for us for a moment. I'm not gonna lie. You walk on the plane. You got the exit rows is ridiculous big. Then like a couple of the seats had like poker tables. Well, I say like card tables.
Yeah.
Then you had like buckets of chicken and surplus of chips and smoothies and Gatorade and water.
Yeah.
Then we like, this really our plane? Then we like, the Wi-Fi was great. The Wi-Fi might have been better than the Wi-Fi I have at home.
Yeah.
But I remember he was like, we going to road, we just got to win or Osh's going to take the plane from us. So that's how we used to think.
Yeah. I got to ask you about the Ford hat. Darren Cameron asked me to ask you about the Ford hat. What's the deal? The Ford trucks.
Oh, yeah, I used to be with my grandpapa a lot when I was younger.
Yeah.
And he was big into cars and all that. And a couple years ago, before he passed, he got me this Ford hat. So
Oh,
I keep it with me.
so that's a shout out to your grandpa then.
Yeah.
Ah, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Right on. We're good?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, listen, I appreciate there's no more questions, just so, and we've got a jersey winner. Okay. Listen, appreciate you joining us. Thanks a lot, Jamal, for joining us. It was
Thank
fun.
you.
A couple things here. Let's get this out of the way first. Thanks to Coors Light and Duron Equipment, special guest Jamal Parker. Thanks to Sam, the producer, compadres Josh and Cam for making this work. Smart's in the room here too. Greatly appreciate all you people for joining us every Tuesday, and sometimes we get a boost from the lads at Winnipeg Sports Talk. Couple things here now. We will not be on next Tuesday because it's Canada Day, and a lot of our content team has to be out in the stadium here shooting the concerts that are on. And then the following week is a Bomber bye week, so we won't have a show that week either. So we won't be back again until July 15th. That's going to seem like forever because we like doing this show so much. But don't forget to join us Tuesday, July 15th, 3 p.m. live on our YouTube page and on X. Tell your friends and family. And if you miss this episode or past episodes, they are archived on our YouTube page. Thanks very much for joining us, and we'll see you on July 15th.